You know that feeling, right? You get super excited to learn something new, you dive in head first, and then a few weeks later, you just stop. Well, what if I told you there's a proven method to master any skill in just 6 months? That's exactly what we're diving into today.
I mean, it's a super frustrating question, right? You see someone else pick up a new skill and just skyrocket, making incredible progress in just a few months. Meanwhile, you feel like you've been spinning your wheels for years on the very same thing. So what's their secret?
Well, get this. Research from Nobel laureate Herbert Simon shows that the answer isn't some kind of natural-born talent. Nope, it's a formula. Learning isn't magic. It's actually a science. It's all about how our brains are wired to solve problems, and we're going to break down exactly how it works.
Okay, so to really get this formula, we first have to tackle something called the learning paradox. This is the core reason why so many of our best efforts to learn just kind of fall flat.
And this paradox highlights two totally different kinds of learning. On one side, you've got knowing the theory. This is like cramming for a test or reading every single book written about swimming. You can know the physics of buoyancy, the mechanics of every stroke, but none of that matters until you actually get in the water. True learning, deep learning, isn't about knowing. It's about doing.
So the big question is, how do we bridge that massive gap between just knowing and actually doing? Well, that's where this comes in, the master's formula.
This is what we call the Simon learning method. And listen, the whole point here isn't to learn harder, it's to learn smarter. It's about turning skill acquisition from this vague, frustrating thing into a clear scientific process.
And the formula itself is actually pretty simple. It's learning equals motivation times method times time. And that word times is everything. This is a multiplication problem, not addition. Think about it. If any one of those things is 0, your whole result is 0. All the motivation in the world means nothing if your method is bad or you don't put in the time. All three are absolutely non-negotiable.
We can break this down even further with what's called the ABC principle. It's super simple. A is when you see it. You're exposed to new information. B is when you understand it. You get the theory. Now here's the trap. Most people stop at A or B, but real mastery, that only happens at C, when you can actually apply it in the real world.
All right, so now we know how to learn effectively. But that leads to the next huge question, right? What should we learn? Because let's be honest, not all knowledge is created equal. Choosing the right thing is half the battle.
So a great way to think about this is like a pyramid with 4 tiers of knowledge. Down at the bottom, tier 4, you've got academic knowledge. It's your foundation, sure. Moving up, tier 3 is professional knowledge, the specific skills for your job. Then it gets interesting. Tier 2 is commercial knowledge, the stuff that directly creates value. And right at the very top, tier 1 is leadership. The trap so many people fall into, they spend their whole careers stuck at the bottom and never climb to where the real impact is made.
So before you dive into learning something new, you gotta run it through this filter. 1, will this solve a problem I have right now? 2, can this bring me direct income? 3, will this make me way more competitive in my field? And 4, can this create significant value? Look, if you're answering no to most of these, it's probably not the best use of your time.
Okay, so we've picked a high-value skill. Now let's get into the really fun part, the practical, actionable tactics that are going to supercharge your progress. This is where the rubber meets the road. First things first, your goals. A vague goal like, I want to learn to code is useless. It gives your brain nothing to latch on to. But a specific goal like, I will build a simple working app in 1 month, now that is concrete. It's a clear target your brain can actually aim for. Now this next idea is maybe the most important one of all. You have to embrace what some people call appropriate stupidity. Seriously, you have to allow yourself to make mistakes and look foolish. It's the fastest way to learn. Think about how an AI learns. It runs millions of simulations, fails almost every time, and gets a tiny bit better with each error. That fear of looking stupid is what holds us back.
Ever feel completely overwhelmed by a new skill? It just feels too big, too complex. Well, that's usually because you haven't broken it down to its smallest learning unit. Think of it like a Lego brick. For learning a language, the brick isn't just one word. It's a reusable sentence pattern. For sales, it might be the case study. Find that fundamental, repeatable piece, master it, and then build from there.
All right, now let's talk about focus. Our brains aren't built for endless marathons. They work in cycles. And all the research points to one magic number for deep, concentrated work: 90 minutes. That's your sprint, your power block. For those 90 minutes, you shut out everything else and just immerse yourself.
But, and this is just as important, after that 90-minute sprint, you take a break. For 15 minutes. This is non-negotiable. Your brain isn't a computer. It needs time to recharge. Get up, walk around, do something totally different. Then you're ready to hit the next 90-minute cycle with full power.
And please, whatever you do, do not fall for the myth of multitasking. It doesn't exist. Your brain literally cannot do two complex things at once. What it's actually doing is switching back and forth between tasks really, really fast. And every single time it switches, it costs you mental energy, and your efficiency just plummets. Single tasking is always, always faster.
All right, we have covered a ton. We've got the core formula, we know how to pick a high-value skill, and we have the tactics to learn it like a pro. So now, let's put it all together. It's time for your challenge. So here it is, your path to mastery in a nutshell. First, get it in your head. Learning is a science, not talent. 2, choose knowledge that has real value. 3, set specific, executable goals. 4, break that complexity down into tiny, manageable units. And finally, create that sacred space for deep, uninterrupted focus.
Look, if you take one thing away from all this, let it be this. The key isn't how smart you are. It's not about what you were born with. It all comes down to whether you have the right method. With the right process, you can achieve absolutely incredible things and way faster than you ever thought possible.
So that leaves us with just one final powerful question for you. You have the formula, you have the key. The only question left is, what will you master in the next 6 months?